welcome back to the Patrick Regan Show here on the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network and News Talk 98.7 WLKI. You know, for those of you not listening to the local station, we just had Lamar Alexander run a spot during our last break. Yeah. And that just shows you how popular this show is becoming. Even a moderate Republican wants to run spots on this rapidly growing radio show. So, you know, if you're listening to this show, you are on the forefront of what is happening in this country. This segment, some of the big news this week is that President Obama held a press conference trying to put to rest the complaints about these millions of Americans being dropped by their health insurers. Now, this has been occurring because the Obamacare regulations, they've made their present health plans illegal. Now, he says he can do all this administratively through the agencies regulating the insurance industry. He doesn't need Congress doing anything. This is the problem with our executive branch of government having all of these departments and cabinet officials. The EPA, the ATF, the Department of Agriculture, the IRS, all these departments can make rules and regulations carrying the force of law without these laws being voted on by Congress. A popular theme right now is that Obama is trying to be a dictator. He's trying to tell businesses what to do. He's trying to tell individuals what to do. What you're missing is that this whole government is trying to be a dictator, each in their own little area. And none of these people in the executive branch want to go through the legislative branch. They don't want to get votes on EPA regulations. They don't want to get votes on IRS rulings. That's because 98% of this BS wouldn't get approved. Congress would be too scared to vote on it. You see, Congress wants governmental control, but they don't want to be seen as supporting it. That's what half of politics is all about. You see stories all the time. The leaders of the Democrats and the Republicans are counting votes, seeing if they can get something passed. And if they can, then they'll let some of their party members vote against unpopular legislation so they can get reelected. Legislation is unpopular for a reason. If people don't want it, then we shouldn't be passing it whether you have the votes or not. Most of the time, in order to avoid all this, Congress unloads all of these harmful and bad decisions on these government agencies, these unelected, faceless bureaucrats who can enforce unpopular laws, and they don't have to worry about getting reelected. Well, he had Obama up there this week saying he's going to order insurance companies to make your policies available again. Ordering companies. Ordering. I'll say it again. Ordering a company to provide you with something. How is that right in a free country? Oh, but he's fighting for you after he's the one that caused all this. But no, it's not his fault. It's those faceless bureaucrats. He's not responsible. No one is ever responsible. Have you noticed that? We have some of the biggest cowards in government I've ever seen. No one wants to stand up and be counted. No one wants to make the hard decisions. And we're the ones who act like children. We're the ones who have to be made to act right. If all this doesn't convince you we don't have a major problem in this country with your government, I don't know what will. Everyone up there in Washington is claiming they're fighting to protect us. They're trying to help us. No, it's all of you in government who are screwing us over. If we had a Congress with a backbone, and I'm pointing to every person up there, I'm including Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, Rand Paul, everyone up there. They have all voted for unconstitutional legislation at one time or another. They have all violated their oaths to uphold and defend the Constitution. If you're voting for legislation not allowed under that document, then you're part of the problem. They say, but Patrick, sometimes they have to vote for those things so people will vote for their legislation. Nope, that's not an excuse. If we have a rule, which is what the Constitution is, a set of rules government has to go by. If we have a rule and you vote to violate that rule, you're guilty. I don't care how you want to justify it. You don't receive a pass, at least not on this radio show. You want to be told how courageous you are for screwing over the American people, go to a conservative talk show or a liberal one. They're pretty much the same thing. Both sides want to tell someone else how to live their lives. Both sides think they know best on how you should live. Both sides don't trust you to make the correct decisions in your life. If these people in Congress would get a backbone and say, hey, we aren't going to fund these agencies. We're going to make these decisions ourselves. We'll answer to the electorate about all of these laws. Where would the bureaucracy be then? They don't have a department because there's no money to run it. But Congress isn't going to do that. No, that'd be suicidal. They want all this regulation. They want all these bureaucrats telling Americans how to live. By having all these agencies doing their dirty work, they get to tell their voters, hey, now it's not me, that's Washington. The president, Congress, they all do this. Just listen to how they all say, hey, I'm going to try to fix this. I'm fighting against Washington. If all these people are on our side, how come we keep getting screwed over? Either they're all incompetent and can't do their jobs, or they're lying to us. Unfortunately, I think more and more people are starting to realize it's the latter. But we need to hold these people in Congress accountable. We can't hold the bureaucracy accountable, but we can sure reach out and touch these congressional representatives at election time. I said it last week. We should go through and vote out every sitting person in Congress. That would send a message. That would start making them listen to us. But this isn't going to happen with this 50% or lower voter turnout. If we continue with these kinds of numbers, we'll continue getting this pansy-fied, do-nothing mentality in government. I've said it before on this show. If you're going to participate in government, then you're going, or if you're not going to participate in government, then you're going to become a victim of it. The people wanting to run your life are taking the time to run for office, to get people who are elected to agree with them. If you sit back and say, well, Patrick, I don't like any of these people running, but you don't do anything about it, well, then you're part of the problem too. If you don't like who's running, then you run. Or get someone you know to run. Sitting there complaining won't get anything done. Besides, that's my job here on this show. Well, actually, my job is to complain so much to get you to push to do something to change the government. You know, talking about all this government stuff reminds me, I had a posting I put up on Facebook this week, and it generated some emails asking me to clarify some thoughts. The posting was a link to a story on how Edward Snowden probably has over 200,000 secret documents in his possession. If you want to read it, you can go over to Facebook at facebook.com/Patrick Riggins Show. And you don't have to be a member of Facebook to view that page. Just punch that address in and you can read it. But along with that link, I posted this text. And it's similar to what I've talked about on this show before, so it might sound a little familiar if you're a long-time listener. But what I posted is, we'll never be able to thank Edward Snowden enough for giving up everything he had in life to expose the illegal and unconstitutional spying of the United States government and the NSA. Would you essentially throw away everything you had in life to expose illegal government activity? For most people, the answer is no. How can I make this statement? Because illegal activities are occurring as you read this, and in your case now, as you listen to this, and no one is stepping forward to expose them. No, they continue to take their paychecks from Uncle Sam and do their unconstitutional jobs, which further erode the freedom and liberty of their fellow citizens. In any other situation, these people would be called traitors. But when they work for the government, they're called patriots. Aside from the emails agreeing with me, I had a few asking, Patrick, how could people go to work knowing their jobs are violating the rights of their fellow citizens? To a lot of people, it seemed like a foreign concept, and I can explain that really. Oh, yeah. Okay, we're up on the break already. I'll explain it real quickly when we come back from this half-hour break. When we come back, I'll finish up with this thought. We'll hit a couple of other things before we run out of time during the next half hour here on the Patrick Riggins Show and the Libertarian Lighthouse Radio Network.